You are listening to the Built to Grow podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, in studio in Arizona with Randy Angston. What's up, man?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, guy.
What's up?
Well, we've got one short announcement. Deadline's on, guys. If you're listening to this podcast on a Tuesday, it means you got about 24 hours to get in the CLA workshop. The last one is December 3rd and 4th. winninggym.com/workshop to get in on that. The price is going up in 2021. This is the final one for the year, and this is the final one at this price point. So if you're on the fence, it's now or never. I mean, I guess you could pay more if you want to, and you've been warned, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Price is going up, so jump on that ASAP. Also, hopefully you're enjoying your week and Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's a couple days away. We have a lot to be thankful for.
For us, if they're listening to it, they had Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
We hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, I do want to give thanks. I want to give thanks to everybody listening in and kind of tuning in on a weekly basis. We hear from you. We see your reviews, and we get a lot of feedback. We just tagged on a post today. Somebody had mentioned it in another group, and appreciate you guys, and thank you. We are thankful for you. So without you, I guess we're talking to dead air.
And here's something that had really stood out lately is a lot of our global listeners. We have a lot of listeners from overseas, and I mean, like, pretty good representation in some of these countries. So really appreciate that. Obviously, it's an awesome time to be alive, to be able to sit here with a good friend and have a conversation, helping you guys from around the globe. So
it is cool. Yeah, very cool. So we'd love to hear from you. Best way to do that is to share our podcast and rate and review. On Apple. That seems to be the one that kind of drives everything. So Apple, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, I should say. Little 5-star there would be awesome. And then share this with another gym owner. I mean, that's really the only way we're getting the word out. And we just hit a big spike in ratings. It's really cool to see that. So again, appreciate you guys. And if you're in the U.S., hopefully you enjoy your Thanksgiving. So, all right, this is the podcast where we are not going back the other way.
Yeah. Yep.
We're making a stand today on your model, the model of the future. And yes, we've talked about it a couple times, and we've alluded to it, here and there. But this is the podcast where we're putting our flag in the ground, and this is the gym of the future. Now, there's some elements of the gyms of the future that I think could come and go, but I think the model itself is semi-private training.
You heard it here. There you go.
Semi-private training, and something that we've been doing for 10 years, but it's not as common as you would think. And so just to kind of define semi-private personal training, semi-private training, it's basically one coach for either an hour or a half hour, but typically an hour, training 4, 5, or 6 clients on a more personal level.
Correct.
They're all on their own programming. There's scaling up or down based on the client. Things are designed around their specific goals, and you've got one coach kind of performing this, delivering on it. This would be versus something like large group training, boot camp, team training, whatever you're calling it, where you've got one coach training 20, 15, 12, 8 on up, and everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah, typically more of a metabolic conditioning, higher intensity, fast-paced movement, but the big variable there, or the big difference is, and this is crucial for having those different layers or different types of training in your model, is they have to feel and they have to be different. So that individualized programming, a little bit more of the body composition, strength training incorporated in there. It really differentiates between those two levels of service, not just the amount of people. And that's something that's important. So we use the term semi-private for that reasoning, because to us, in the psychology of it, it's a little bit more individualized. It's not. It's closer to one-on-one personal training than it is group training in that matter. And I think that's really important.
Yep.
It's not a small group training. It's a semi-private training.
Good point. Small group versus semi-private.
Correct.
We all think of them as the same thing, but to the end consumer, you really have to make that difference. Semi-private personal training goes a lot longer. It holds more weight than, say, small group. And you throw that word group in there, and all of a sudden,
the association,
of a sudden, a group equals a class, and a class equals the same guy down the street doing classes. And so there's a lot of reasons why we call it semi-private or semi-private personal training or semi-private training versus group. And that was probably one thing that we want to nail home right now is what you call it makes a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, you're literally that's before you even have the opportunity to explain it to somebody. That line, that headline, that on your website, all of that, the initial reaction of that consumer is where they're going to start with. So if they're not interested in group training at all, and you're calling it small group training, do you even have the opportunity to explain what it is to them or show them why it is what we believe is the best path for most of them?
And that's a simple change to make. Make it on your marketing materials, websites, and emails, and whatever you call it. Your memberships at the gym. Okay, so we realized probably now 3 years ago that we realized large group boot camp style training was not going to carry us deep into the future. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'll kind of hit a couple of them right now. Number one was we looked at our numbers. We looked at our retention. We looked at our results. We looked at our revenue. We looked at the people that were doing large group training. And we realized really quickly that although it was really easy to sell, these people wouldn't stick around that long.
Absolutely.
So we did some numbers, and if you've been a listener for a while, I apologize. We're going to say it again. 9.8 months was the average length of term. We do annual agreements here, and we do month to month. So that's why it's, kind of in the middle there, 9.8 months. And these clients were paying under $199, and typically it was $149. And even some of the old clients were still paying $99.
$99, sure.
And so there was this kind of low price point and low retention, and there's a couple things hypotheses that we came up with, like why is this, why are these people 9.8 months they're paying the lowest, and they're only here the least amount of time. And we started looking at a couple things. What does this client that does large group training look like? What's their demographic or avatar? And they would tend to be younger.
Sure.
Now that doesn't mean bad. That just means they're younger. And what happens when you're young is you may relocate quite a bit. I remember when I was in my 20s, I was bouncing around, moving, changing houses, changing careers, all kinds of stuff. You get married. People move, they get married, things change. You get that big job promotion, you move into a different state. So there was really they were kind of like nomads, and they're young, so it makes sense. And then we started looking at what are we delivering to these folks? For us, it was book an appointment, show up if you can, come get a great workout, and we'll see you next time. There really wasn't much accountability. And if maybe your model is boot camp only, large group, again, we're just going to use those names interchangeably. Maybe that is your model, and you've built it so tight, and you've got the accountability, and you're checking in on people, and maybe that's your play, and you keep the people longer.
Sure.
We didn't, right? We've always just been, we're not counting your sessions. Everything's unlimited. So just come in and do these classes, quote unquote. And we never really kept track of them. We would call them and text them and stuff, but it wasn't like the same day. It would be once a week, or every couple of weeks we'd reach out to these folks if they fell off. Whereas our semi-private training clients, the same day, if they're not there, they have the appointment.
Yep.
If they don't show up, we're calling them, right?
And I think that's right there, just to kind of shine a light on that. It's almost the difference between being a coach in a semi-private manner, where you take the goal and the objective that the client is trying to achieve, and that you put that on your plate.
Yeah, take
right?
ownership.
You take ownership of their results, while the other end of the spectrum, you're facilitating a workout. And that workout's the same for everybody. It's up to the client to show up, get the results that they want, but it's not really catered to them as the individual. Right? It's just, this is the class, this is what we're facilitating, show up, get the result, or don't. And as we say it all the time, if you want to be better at your job, coach better. Take more of that responsibility, dive a little bit deeper. Semi-private gives us that opportunity where I mean, you just can't scale, individual programming to 20 people with one coach and expect it to be anywhere near the quality of coaching that you get in the semi-private.
Right. So that was like some of the reasons.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch more. So they were paying the lease, they were staying the lease. Okay, so that was a no-brainer. Then we looked at the type of person, so that kind of made sense. The type of person that does team training, large group stuff, typically they're younger because that's the style of workout they kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
They get pushed. It's an ass kicker, right?
Yeah.
But they also can't afford necessarily the higher price stuff, and that plays into the thing too.
Absolutely.
So when they're cutting back on their budgets and they don't want to give up the Starbucks and all this stuff, sometimes the gym disappears for them in their budget. So that was another reason. So the disposable income at that level is less. Okay. The next thing we looked at, it's like, well, what to the end consumer does our boot camps look like? It looks like people getting sweaty in a group. What difference is that to, say, a CrossFit or a group fitness place or any of these, boot camp or HIIT training
studios? Sure.
There is no difference. It's the same thing to the end consumer. I'm in a room with a bunch of people and the music's loud and we're running around and getting sweaty and then we go home.
So the opportunity or the competition, there's plenty of opportunity or plenty of options for those consumers when it comes to what they see as the same result.
Right, exactly. And so this all played into the decision. Like, well, again, I said 3 years ago, and we're now deciding finally. We've transitioned away from it quite a bit, especially this year. But we knew something had to change, or we weren't gonna, the livelihood for this entire gym wasn't going to be there for years and years to come. So competition's high. These people pay a lot less than everybody else. Then they leave quick because they're younger. So all those things kind of played into it. So here we are. Those are all the cons. What are the pros to like boot camp?
Well, and before we get into that, one, I just want to drive home, like, guys, that's all data. That's all evidence based on what happened within these four walls. I mean, this isn't just speculation. This isn't just something that we did one day and we're like, hey, you know what? Let's just go try something completely new. Tim and Zach sat down. They broke everything open. I mean, they went to capacity, who was showing up on what hour. I mean, like, they went deep. Then we looked at industry averages as well. And when we've had Rick on here, Rick in our his facility and your facilities aligned in time, and then we watched it decline. The last conversations we had about team training and the longevity of those memberships, for a while there, Orange Theory was down to like 3 months retention. So could you imagine trying to run a business where the majority of your clients are coming on board every 3 months? You have an entirely different set of clients.
Right. So let's just say those people are paying $150. So you're talking about $450 lifetime value on average for a 3 month. Or so what if it costs you $200 to get that client? You're only making $250 on the front end, and then you got to pay your coaches, the overhead. None of it makes sense. We as gym owners and trainers that are listening to this, you have such a hesitation about getting rid of team training because why? It's easy to coach, it's high energy, and you enjoy training the people in that demographic.
Yep.
We all love training the athletic, 28-year-old guy and girl that are just kicking ass and, blowing the doors off the place. Fire breathers, right? You heard that. But are they paying the bills? Like, is this going to keep your business and your doors open?
That is the point that, I mean, we run this podcast for a reason. This is not, I mean, there's a million phenomenal fitness podcasts that you can go for better program design or understanding movement better or how to, bring in some style of training that your clients might enjoy. That's not the purpose of this podcast. This is ultimately about serving the business's needs as well, growing your business. And if you... Guys, it's always a fine line between delivering what the client wants as best as you can and getting them greatest results, but also keeping the needs of the business in understanding. You can't neglect the needs of the business when you're coming up with the programming and how to serve your client. And the same way, vice versa. You can't ignore the client's needs when you're developing your business. The data has shown us where the law of averages lie, that this is the best move for us, and that's why we're so big on it and why we're confidently putting our flag in the ground.
Yep, exactly. We are putting our flag in the ground. I mean, this is something that's been 80 to 90% of our revenue for the last 10 years is semi-private personal training here anyway. So feel like we've been in this for a lot longer than a lot of people, and we've always stuck there because that was always paying the bills. And we've been in the game for now going into our 12th year. We've kind of seen this thing prove itself over time. On top of that, going back to why people have a tough time getting rid of it, one of the big reasons is, well, I kind of do semi-private. You think you do semi-private style training in a large group atmosphere, but you can't obviously give the attention that you think you're giving to 20 people that you could give to 4.
It's a fact. You can't argue it. I mean, it just is.
Exactly. And so that's been your model forever. So you have hesitations on how to make the switch. Okay, so those are kind of the reasons why the large group model. Oh, and let me throw one more in there. This one's probably the nail in the coffin. Big box studios, even before COVID, and probably maybe not as much after, but they were throwing large group training in on the $19 membership. So now you're trying to compete with those guys.
Yeah, unlimited classes at Planet Fitness for $9.99.
Yeah, in a large group.
Yeah.
Like, so now you're the same as those guys, and so it doesn't make any sense on the surface or even deep down. So semi-private training for us is 6. We've moved it from 4 to 5 to 6. And when we first started, we started with 2. Actually, we started with 2. And when we were testing this in 2010, when we were testing this rollout of semi-private training, we started with 2 clients to 1 coach, and we did great, right? Easy. Then we moved it to 3, and yeah, there was a little bit of a learning curve, and we saw great results, and people were coming, and they were getting, it was a great experience. Went to 4, and that was about the limit of the coaching staff that we had at the time. Again, this is 2010, 2011. And we're like, okay, 4 seems to be the max. And of course, let's test it. Let's throw a 5th in there.
Sure.
We ran 5 for like a month or 2, and we just collapsed. Right? It broke the model. We couldn't figure out how to get that 5th person in there because 2 people on equipment switching back and forth made sense, and then you had the 5th
floater.
Wheel, the 5th.
Sure. Yeah.
And we just couldn't figure it out. Right? It was just too hard for the staff. We had a younger staff, and it was fairly new. So it was like they hadn't experience doing this. We were learning. So we stuck at 4. We stuck at 4 for years, 5, 6 years at 4. And then moved to our new facility, and, the staff has grown up now, and we're used to it. And we started going with 5 right off the jump. And 5 was, we didn't really miss a beat. And it took some years to kind of get to that point. So I would recommend doing exactly what I did. Start with 2, go to 3. 3 were good, go to 4. 4 were good, go to 5. Wait, 5 doesn't work, go back to 4 and stay there. Because at the end of the day, you don't want it to get so diluted, then it starts to look like large group training again. They're not getting the experience that they want, and they start falling off and quitting on you and everything.
And that's the need of that's the business, and you guys, looking at the deliverable and ensuring, hey, we're not just muddying the waters. We're not just throwing more people into a session because we can. If it does break the system, or if your clients, you as coaches start to feel like I can't give my clients that level of service that they're paying for, stop. Don't bring things back, and then figure out what needs to happen in order to facilitate that additional person. Right. Smart.
And so let's give some data around the semi-private training clients that we've had. So at the same time we were doing the math on the large group stuff, we were also looking at the semi-private training clients and what they were paying. And on average, it was over $350, but we said $350 or more, because that is the membership level that we were wanting to go to. How long are these people staying? Who are these people? Like, what's the avatar of this person? And it came out to 36 months. Like, somebody paying $350 or more in our gym was staying for 36 months, where somebody's paying $199 or less was staying 9.8 months. So I don't really need to look any further than that. So that tells me everything I need to know. Yes. And slowly but surely, we started peeling back our lowest attended boot camps and our lowest attended sessions, and also our busier semi-private, because we have 2 coaches on the floor. And so let's just say 6 a.m. we would have 6 people in our semi-private, and we'd have a kind of well, I guess that is our busiest time for both, but we started saying, well, can we take the boot camp away and replace it with six semi-private training clients? And we started peeling back that. And coming out of the shutdowns of the first one, we reduced all of our sessions by our classes, our boot camps by 50%. It ruffled some feathers. Sure. People had to kind of reorganize their schedules, and they started filling into those other slots. We kind of we have a 8 average like kind of line in the sand. If our boot camp, we call it boot camp here, if boot camp is above 8, then we're going to probably keep it around. Less than 8, we're going to look at maybe replacing it with semi-private training. So if we're not getting 8 people to show up consistently, then it's probably not a real good time, and we could easily get 6 people in there for semi-private and do the math, guys. I mean, we've hit this one a million times, but let's just say 6. Can you have a calculator?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do some math here. 3. So for our gym, our middle membership is up to 8 sessions a month, 365. Okay, so what is 365 divided by 8?
Whoop.
365 divided by 8.
45 and change.
$45 an hour times 6.
Now you get $273 for that hour.
Yeah, $273 generated for that hour. And the coach, we know based on what we coach, we do a flat rate. We don't do per head. We don't do a percentage. We have a brand new comp model coming out in January that I'm really excited about. We can share that with folks in January.
Yeah, when we get it out there.
A brand new comp plan for our coaches that hits everything that drives a coach. So 270 what?
273.
273.75. So let's call it 275 an hour versus, let's just say, for boot camps for us is 149. And that's, let's just say for the same 8 sessions, say divided by 8.
18
times 8, or times 6, I'm sorry. So to have 6 people in a boot camp, it's $100, 111 versus 275. So right away, you're almost you're more than doubling your revenue potential for the hour just by taking boot camp out and pushing a semi-private in.
Drive that point home, because this is, when you look at your business, your business is only open so many hours every day. You can only change certain things in your business to make changes like that happen. Increase the revenue per transaction, increase the number of people you're serving at those things, increase the level of service or the tier that they're in. All of those are options, but what are you doing to move the needle in your business? This is one of the biggest transitions we take any of our private clients through. Most of them come to us because they want this transition, or they've heard this, these types of conversations, and they say, hey, I need to know more about this transition. I'm doing this, it's not working, it's not making the ends meet. What can we do differently? That right there, guys, is exponential growth without taxing the business any harder. You're not paying your staff anymore. You're not extending your hours. You're not in your gym anymore. And you're making over twice the revenue
like
in the same hour delivered. Think about that. Wouldn't you much rather be able to give 6 clients full attention? And I'll talk to that. With our coaching clients, one of the reasons that they're always resistant around some of these transitions is because they're hesitant about delivering the service to their client. This is the proof's in the pudding. We know clients, when they make that transition to semi-private, after it's done and in there and they're doing it, they love those sessions.
They love them.
They love those sessions, especially if they're coming from a one-on-one even, right? Because now it's shared cost, so they're getting damn close to the same result and attention, but shared cost for the hour. So there's big benefits from them. Anybody who's still doing one-on-one personal training, it's a lot like a therapy session, right? That trainer's job is just to keep you engaged, communicate with you. They're not just standing there counting reps and making sure you're, looking for cues. There's conversation that needs to take place. Well, wouldn't that be nice if you had 4 others, 5 others to at least continue the energy and spread the conversation over? So all of the hesitation that gym owners consistently have.
I will add to that, because one of the big things when we look at doing stuff is what's going to keep our clients engaged and keep the retention high.
Exactly.
Well, when you do a one-on-one private training with somebody, you're locked in with the client. Like, it's you or it's the coach and the client in the gym. When you go to semi-private, it's the coach, the client, the gym, plus the other clients. And when the other clients, and they start building relationships with each other, that stickiness of them wanting to come back to see their other friends in the session, and they start to get to know each other, and then you start building this community. Yeah, much, much quicker and stronger. The foundation of the culture is much stronger in a semi-private. So let's go the other way. Let's just say that you're a one-on-one studio and you're just doing one-on-one sessions. You're like, Tim, well, I'm not charging $40. I'm charging $100. $100 an hour. Cool. 100. Well, you just saw the math. Would you rather make $100 an hour or $275?
$275.
Right? $275.
It's still a win on the math.
It's still a win. So it's interesting that it lives in the middle of the spectrum, but it's actually the best for a million reasons.
Exactly.
On top of that, let's take that one-on-one client that's paying $100 an hour. And if you look at the penetration rate of private training in big box clubs, it's 3%. Some say as high as 8%, but let's just call it 3%. Because there's only 3% of the community that can actually pay $100 an hour. And if you're doing 10 sessions a month, that's $1,000 a month on top of your gym membership. It gets the percentage of people that can actually afford that, it's slim. So wouldn't it make sense to reduce the session cost, but doing it in a small group semi-private manner? Because now you're opening it up to even a bigger piece of the pie, the population that can afford that. And it's another win. I don't see any holes in this anywhere.
I mean, there probably is a couple things that we might overlook because we do it, but at the same time, it's nothing. When the math adds up, the quality of the training is there, the capacity, the excitement of the session, all of it. The community is one of the big things. You don't believe us? Come to Tim's gym any morning. I could tell you, I could probably name 50% of the clients that have been here for 8 to 10 years.
Right.
And they're still in those sessions at those times with their friends because that's part of their life. And that is ultimately what we're trying to do with our community, with our clients. This, it's amazing. Like, I've never seen the community aspect so strong simply based upon providing the service, and the rest just happens naturally.
It's great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the engagement between clients, they know each other, they do things outside of the gym. I mean, you've had clients get married, you've had clients
get jobs.
The networking is insane.
Yep.
And ultimately it all leads to retention. You guys then get credit for some of that, right?
A lot of credit. They give us almost all the credit. If it
Sure.
wasn't for this gym,
Yep.
if it wasn't for you and your model and this stuff, the way you do things, it's just, it makes so much sense. So the point of this is if you're sitting on the fence and like, well, should I do this? This is your kick in the ass. 1, 2, great news. We're putting together the entire course playbook for switching to semi-private now. We've decided to add it to our private client coaching because that's the number one thing that everybody comes to us for anyway. So let's just put a specific
Streamline it.
put a specific coursework and curriculum in the private client coaching just for switching to semi-private. And you could be switching from a boot camp model into semi-private or a private studio into semi-private. And like we said before, they're both wins. They're both wins.
They are. That's our flag, guys.
Yeah. If you want to switch to semi-private, we've done this over and over and over, and you can talk to our past clients that we've worked with as far as our private client coaching clients at the gyms. We'll give you their names. You can talk to them. This is what we do best, and we're building onto this because we just see this is the thing. This is the need that people come to us for. On top of what we're doing is one of the big questions comes along is like, how do I program for that? And we're gonna do your programming, and we're gonna show you our templates, and we're gonna show you how we program here, and you can take it and run. And Zach's gonna be a big part of this. Our fitness director, you've heard his name before, Zach, is going to be a big part of our coaching program, so you can speak to the man himself.
I mean, we literally just had him on the phone with a private client today
about this,
doing exactly this. Hey, I get it, but I've got some questions about the implementation of the program design. Cool. Let's not beat around a bush and make it up. Let's just go right to the source, give you exactly how it's being done, how we've done it here, and evolved it a little bit over time, right? And it's a beautiful system that works, and we're going to be able to just plug you right into that.
And the one thing that we're not even talking about here is the whole capacity of large groups of people and what you have in the community right now and the fear of being around a lot of people. Well, it attacks that too.
Yep.
Now you're not doing the large 25 people in a room getting sweaty. Now you've got 6 or 4. Probably start with 4, to be honest with you. Most people need to start at 4, 3 or 4, but I say 4. It's a lot easier to sell, hey, you're only going to be with 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a large group. We're going to be doing this in a semi-private manner where we're keeping it safe. Everybody's separated. That's the cherry on the top of this whole thing is this the
timing.
The timing of this
Sure.
makes complete sense. Of all the times to do it, this is the time. So get a hold of us, pfmarketingsolutions.com/call. Get on the phone with Randy. We're building that thing out as fast as we can, but even if we don't have it built out, we do this anyway. It's just not it's not built in the videos, but we're building the videos now, and the programming. The program is a big part of that as well. So jump on board with us, and guys, it's now or never. Like if you're not going to do it now, you're never going to do it. And if you're in a gym right now and you're looking at your numbers, your P&Ls month after month, even granted we have a big monkey wrench this year, but like the last 5 years or 3 years, or if you only been in business 2 or 3 years, what are your numbers doing? What's your retention look like? Would you rather have less people paying you more, and you have to only keep track of half the amount of people, but you're making 2.5 times what you were? I think so. So. All right, that's it for this show, guys. Go out and tack it. Get a hold of us if you want to jump in and see what semi-private training is all about. pfmarketingsolutions.com/call. Talk to you guys later. Bye.